And now, join Kevin Hart as he dives into the minds of some of your favorite celebrities. This is Gold Mines with Kevin Hart.
What up, world? You already know what it is. It's another episode of Gold Mines, and you know what I do. I get inside the minds of amazing individuals, and God damn it, it's necessary. It's necessary, it's needed. Why is it necessary and why is it needed? Because gold is important. And here's the thing about gold. It has to be discovered. Gold is something that has to be found. Without the discovery of gold, you don't get the opportunity to cash in on it. And that's what this podcast is about. It's about giving you gold nuggets from golden mines. And today will be no different, man. A comedic legend. Yes, I said legend. Yes, I mean legend. A groundbreaker. A move maker. Groundbreaker, move maker. Yes, I say that. I say that and I mean it, man. A pioneer in this thing called comedy. One that has really not only established himself in several different lanes for revenue, but more importantly, several different opportunities to just show versatility. One of the first comics to show that you can do so much more than just stand behind a microphone. You can actually be a part of multiple opportunities that the microphone provides. Ladies and gentlemen, please make some noise for the legend himself, Rickey Smiley. Oh my God. What an introduction.
Hey, stop it, man. What's up? What up?
What an introduction. How you doing, man? How you doing,
I appreciate
Rickey?
that. Hey, that's one of those intros when they be introducing a black pastor that's getting ready to preach for Men's Day.
Yeah.
That's when he starts sipping on this Gatorade, and he be like he.
You know, Rickey, I do mean it though when I say pioneer. I do mean it when I say like a real groundbreaker. And the reason why I say that, I sit here at the age 45 now. How old are you, Rickey? How old are you now?
Hey, man, I just turned 56 last weekend.
56 years old. Let me tell you how funny life is and time. Rickey Smiley was the definition of unbelievable success in our ComicView era, because Rickey Smiley, he was the definition of destroy. So when ComicView was at its height, right? You got to think, when I mean height, I'm saying being able to get the opportunity to host ComicView meant the world to a comic. Destroying on ComicView meant the world to a comic, because the opportunities after, they were never ending. Rickey Smiley at this time was not only the comedian that wasn't afraid to come out and take the big swing, he got the big result. And when I say kill, listen to me, people. When I say kill, I'm talking about laughter like you've never heard before. The expectation of what Rickey Smiley would do is what the audience came for, man. And as a younger comic that was gracing the stage in that era, it was like, wow. I wish I get the fucking opportunity. I can't wait to get that moment. Rickey, this is an opportunity for you just to talk about that time. In that era, when all of this stuff was happening, right? Were you aware of how massive the moment was, or were you blind to it?
I was very aware, because I did ComCam on ComicView back when D.L. Hughley was the original host. And that's when the show was sponsored by Cross Colors. So you go to the mall and buy your cross-colored outfit to go on ComCam. So he was like, hey, I'm going to go to Birmingham, Alabama, and then they'll have a clip of me performing, and to see yourself, and then to see somebody like D.L. Hughley introduce you or whatever. And then after that, Sid became the host, Cedric the Entertainer. And then after that, it was like some more, Lester Berry, Gary Owen. And
then you.
Yeah, and then me. And it was a huge platform. It was a big deal. And then when I hosted ComicView, Kevin, they moved it to Atlanta. Right?
I remember, what's crazy? I remember the character move, right? Like I remember when you made the choice. I remember when Lil Daryl came out. And I was in the audience. Rickey, when you came out as Lil Daryl. And when I tell you, man, of course, we've seen the comedians do the characters. We've seen there's so many comedians that have done characters and that have so much success in doing characters. But you came out as Lil Daryl and you stood there. You stood there for like a good 45 seconds and just took in the reaction from the audience, man. And you know, that to me, it takes a lot of heart. It takes a lot of heart to come out as the character, because you know you don't know if the audience is with you or not, but you have built up such a nice rapport with the audience that the expectation of what you would do was something that the audience was excited about, right? It was like, who is Rickey? What is he going to do? What craziness is he going to come? When did you get that comfort? Like, when did you start to say, like, yo, I'm so like in my jello with this ComicView audience, with ComicView as a platform anyway. At this point, it's about me hitting them in the head with the unexpected. When did you get that, like, that level of not just comfort, but that level of like, fuck it, this is a part of like my talent, my persona, my presence. So switching it up between material with my character, between just the character. When did you get that side of thinking or thought process?
So Kevin, check this out. I'm glad that you asked that. Rushion McDonald, Steve Harvey taught me that to be how to be a big fish in a small pond. Kevin, I had a small comedy club in Birmingham called the Cobblestone. I was on stage every single Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night for almost 2 years. Like taking naps in between shows, got my kids, turned my dressing room into a little playroom for my kids, and just going up on stage, performing, and just coming up. I had a good DJ. I had a good connection. I had a good vibe, good energy. So when I came out to do ComicView, it was all natural. It wasn't like I had to prep because I was performing. You know how it is. It's like if your preacher bad as hell, you can tell when your pastor preach revival all week. So when he come, by the time he get to you on Sunday, this Negro is on fire. Man, I'm talking about he walking the pews, showing that his socks match his tie, all that kind of stuff, got people shouting. So it was like that. It was like an explosion within 7 minutes. I was on stage all the time. That's all it was. Preparation.
Shouts out to Rushion McDonald too, man. Good friend of mine. Love Rushion. Love Rushion. The definition of a sharp mind, and he's gonna get the business of the business done.
And he'll cuss you out too.
He'll cuss you out in a heartbeat. He'll cuss you out in a heartbeat, but that's what you gotta love him for. You keep talking about Birmingham, right? And you know your opportunity to have a comedy club, your comedic background coming from Birmingham. At this point, like what was the comedic circle there? Was it a big comedic environment in Birmingham? Did you guys have a plethora of comics that were like really on the comic scene? And if so, what was the comic scene in whole? Like I know the comedy club that you set up, but what were the other spots that people were hitting in Birmingham?
Well, you know, you had a Stardome. Bruce had the comedy club, who actually gave me my start, Bruce Ayers and Chi-Chi. I started November the 13th, 1989. That's the first time.
Jesus.
That's the first time I hit the stage at a comedy club. So I started opening up for like Alex Bunyan and Will Downing and Jennifer Holliday when they would come to Birmingham and do concerts or whatever. But, you know, you had comedian Henry Welch, you had Sir Walt, you had Doug Williams, you had Steve Brown, you had myself. So it was probably about 5 or 6, maybe no more than 10 comics. But we would have to go to Atlanta and audition for everything, you know. So when I would go to Atlanta, I would just stay at Earthquake Apartment or whatever. When he had that white Volkswagen Jetta with the double windshield wipers on each side. Or whatever. So I was, he had a white Volkswagen Jetta with the double windshield. I remember one time me and Monique stayed over there, and man, we split up $250 one night doing a gig at the Comedy Act in Atlanta. So yeah, that's. But you had to go to Atlanta to get on stage for real.
I mean, when you talk about stories like that, and you just talk about like really understanding the journey, the road, and like you just said, you, Monique, Earthquake, splitting up $250. And at the time, it was not only the right thing to do, the smart thing to do, but that was a hell of a lick. That was a hell of a lick, and everybody was happy about that, right? How How often do you get with the comics that are I want to say just a part of that early side of brotherhood with you, and just talk about how far you all have come, and like even now in this business, how we all still remain at the topic of conversations and can walk in any club and demand a headliner spot with a headliner side of revenue attached to it. Do you often go back to memory lane? And if so, who do you go back to it with?
Oh man, when I talk to Bruce, it's so crazy because when we do shows, especially if I'm doing a show with Lavelle Crawford or Bruce, I would never sit in my own dressing room. You have to be in the dressing room with Bruce. And Kevin, he never look at you. He always face the mirror, and he look at you through the mirror when he talk to you. And he got all these damn he got all these damn stories. And Bruce sit, and he faced the mirror. And he never make any eye contact. And you sit in the mirror with him, and you looking at him through the mirror, and y'all just talking about old times. Bruce, Lavelle Crawford, I mean, we just all go back like 34 years. Like, what I
love about the list though is that everybody has experienced success.
Yeah.
Everybody has experienced success, and everybody is supporting themselves off of this thing called comedy. And it's a real thing. It's a real W when you look at it correctly. When you really look at it and go 30 years, and you say 30 years of telling jokes, but 30 years of telling jokes to supporting minds and my loved ones and all those around me, and building whatever the foundation of success that I chose for myself. Everybody has a version of that. And
I was working at Jeans West in the mall and playing the organ at church on Sundays, making $75 a Sunday. And I was working at Jeans West in the mall, where you buy the jacket and get the pants free, back in the day. Hey, everybody remember Oak Tree and Jeans West. And Baker Shoes back in the day, Kenny Shoes, Tom McAnn, come on now. And you couldn't afford merry-go-round.
Yeah. That's too much. That's stepping out there. That's stepping out there. That's way too much, man. Thank you for listening to this episode of Gold Mines with Kevin Hart. You can catch the rest of this episode exclusively on the SiriusXM app. We'll see you next week for a full episode of Gold Mines with Kevin Hart.
Gold Mines with Kevin Hart is a SiriusXM and Laugh Out Loud radio production and executive produced by Kevin Hart, Mike Stein, Brian Smiley, Eric Eddings, and Eric Weil. Produced by Danny Sellers and Leslie Guam. Engineered by Danny Sellers.